What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm your host, Mark Izzo, and alongside me, as always, is your other host, Dillon. And today we have our very first guest on the pod. Welcome, Tathya. Tathya, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dillon. And oh my God, I messed it up at first. I'm doing great, Mark. And how are you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Happy to be on the podcast this week. Another week. A lot of things have happened, and we're going to get right into it. But before we do, make sure to follow The Burning Hammer on our social media. On Twitter, we are at The Burnt Hammer. On Instagram and TikTok, we are at The Burning Hammer. And on Facebook, we're at The Burning Hammer. And make sure to check out theburninghammer.net. We have officially launched our website. We have all of the episodes are up there. Plus, we will be doing some website exclusive content on there in the very near future. Make sure to follow Vendetta Sports Media on their social media. On Twitter, they are at Vendetta VSM. On Instagram and TikTok, they're at Vendetta Sports Media. And make sure to visit vendettasportsmedia.com for all of your professional wrestling needs and for every other sport. They cover any and every sport. Me, Dillon, and Tathya, we cover professional wrestling there along with a few other people. So make sure to check out vendettasportsmedia.com. With that being said, let's jump into the first thing we are going to talk about. And this is one of the most recent things to happen in professional wrestling. And that is Sasha Banks, now going by Mercedes Mone, debuting in New Japan Pro Wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom 17. Dillon, what do you think about this debut? Talk me through how it went. How do you think she's going to go about her wrestling in New Japan and in Stardom?
Yeah, first things first. So good to have formerly known as Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Moné, Mercedes Varnado, I believe is how you pronounce it. But so good to have her back in a ring. I mean, she is a top tier talent. She's one of the best in the world. Debatably, in my opinion, I put her as far as the female division is concerned. I put her at top 2 on the planet with Becky. As far as the complete package is concerned, I felt that way for a long time. And maybe someone will take those spots from them eventually in the near future. But geez, it's just so good to see her back in a ring. I'm really getting a lot of the same vibes from the way like when Cody left and kind of bet on himself. And it is a bit of a different situation, being that Sasha is a much bigger star than Cody was when he left WWE the first time. But I don't think this is going to be a thing where Sasha Banks signs a contract with AEW and now she's wrestling just for AEW or just for New Japan. I think we're about to get the Sasha Banks tour. I think she's going to wrestle for New Japan. I think she's going to wrestle for AEW, for ROH, for possibly NWA. I could see her possibly doing some WOW WOW events, some Women of Wrestling events. I really think that we're about to get the Sasha Banks, the Mercedes Moné Grand Tour. And besides that, what a loss for WWE. Oh my gosh. Like, can we talk about this? Like, they and who knows what the situation was. Maybe there was really no saving the relationship.
I just want to say this really quick, is that reportedly what happened was Mercedes Moné wanted to get paid on the level of Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, but WWE didn't want to pay her as much as they pay them. So that's why she decided that she was just going to let her contract expire, which is absurd because it's pretty much saying like WWE just didn't see her as that big as a star, which is like, to me, that's crazy because I think she's a megastar.
Yeah, and they're going to eat their words on that. She's going to be a megastar not only in wrestling but outside of wrestling, in my opinion. She's already doing a lot of acting work. She's done it in The Mandalorian. She's we're seeing her make a name for herself outside of the wrestling world. So I mean, just a huge loss for WWE. But above all else, so excited that Mercedes is back, man. She's back in the ring, one of the top performers in the world. They did botch that finishing move that they had with Kyrie. When it's hit properly, it looks so good. But like the clips are trending around of what the move is supposed to look like. But God, above all else, so happy for what's to come. Tathya, I don't know if you want to speak on it too, but
Yeah, of course, I'll take over. So, Sasha, she knows that she is a star, and the entire wrestling world, the fans, the promoters, I'm sure even Triple H or Vince McMahon or Tony Khan in AEW, they all know that she is a megastar. The problem that arose in WWE was as soon as Becky Lynch returned to the fray, Sasha was kind of again pushed into that secondary role, where she was pushed into the tag division instead of being part of the women's title picture. She put over Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 37, and immediately after that, she was nowhere to be seen. She was here and she was there. She was injured for a while, then she came back as a heel. After that, she was again gone for a while, then she came back as a face. And to her, this was an opportunity to go out and establish herself truly as the biggest star, as the biggest female star, at least in the wrestling world today. New Japan just introduced that IWGP Women's Championship, so we know that the women's division is going to be up and coming there, and who better to lead that than someone of the stature of Sasha, who has done so much in the WWE. Uh, Besides that, one more thing I would like to add would be, now going by Mercedes Mone, this gives her the opportunity to travel all over the world. She can go to Japan. She will be in Japan, in New Japan, and Stardom. She can travel to Mexico. She can travel to Europe, which is something that nobody has done as far as the female wrestlers are concerned at that level. After having established themselves, they are mostly bound to WWE. There's really no female megastar in the wrestling world that's not in the WWE, save for I would say Britt Baker, but I don't think she's at that level yet, and I don't think Saraya has been handled in a way where you could categorize her there as well. But you saw for a while for themselves that today remains that today remains uh, of sorts similar, you know, uh, as far as going forward with the career. And she is taking a bold path, and she is a bold woman. And I think, of course, we are sure that she is going to light the world, especially New Japan on fire. She is going to be challenging Kyrie for the IWGP Women's Championship at Battle in the Valley, which I believe, I don't know if it's coincidental or not, will be held on the same day as Elimination Chamber. So that's also something uh, to be
oh,
excited
wow, I
about.
didn't even know
And
that.
it's gonna be in the US.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
those are
we'll see
great.
what happens.
Those are great points too. I didn't even think about that in the way that you're like she really could be like a kind of like a pioneer for the women's wrestling world in the way that uh nobody has there hasn't really been a woman like you said who has established her name and become as big as Sasha Banks is and then left WWE and traveled and really showcased their talents all over the world. There's of course, you know what I mean, there's been some, but like you said, not at that stature of as a megastar as Sasha Banks. So she really could be establishing a trend which is this is great for women's wrestling altogether. I mean, really, women's wrestling is some of the best wrestling in the world. And they're putting on 5-star matches left and right. And like you said, Tathya, who better than to lead the charge than the newly named Mercedes Monet.
Yeah, and I think that her going on this world tour is like exactly what we're gonna get because in the press conference after Wrestle Kingdom 17 with New Japan, she pretty much said that she's gonna go on like a tour of just like a dominance. And so I think we've seen her train in I believe it was Mexico, so we could see her pop up in a bunch of other promotions. I might be a little crazy, but I still think she's going to be Soraya's partner on Dynamite next week. She picked Tony Storm, but it's in LA, and I don't think it's going to end like that. I think that Mercedes Mone is still going to be her mystery partner some way, somehow. I'm sure Tony Storm may get attacked backstage, or maybe Sheeta could attack her because Sheeta was extremely angry based off of what Saraya said during that segment. So it's going to be interesting. Like you said, Dill, it's a great time for women's wrestling, and this is arguably could be the best year for women's wrestling that we've had in history. So we're all super excited to see not only what Mercedes Moné does, but how women's wrestling progresses as a whole. So moving on, we have an interesting match. We are going to discuss what to expect in the Pitch Black match. Now, this is presented by Mountain Dew. Bray Wyatt's taking on LA Knight at the WWE Royal Rumble on January 28th of this month, this year. And Dillon, what should we expect? If you had to take a guess, Pitch Black match has never been done before. Dillon, what do you think that we can look forward to during this match, or maybe not look forward to at all?
So if I'm not mistaken, Mark, did you write an article on what exactly
I did.
this Pitch Black match is going to be? So it really is a bit confusing because, like you said, it's never been done before, and one would think they're not truly going to just be in pitch black, because that would mean that nobody in the crowd can see anything going on. Like, you would have to assume that that's not actually going to be the case. Is it possible that we're going to get a cinematic
for a moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, Bray Wyatt has always been associated with those flashlights in people's mobile phones, the so-called fireflies. And could that play a role, maybe lighting up the arena during the pitch black match? Maybe with a few added effects, because I don't think that the flashlights of those phones would be enough light in the arena. But could a similar effect be added to give that an overall look that is seen during his entrances?
I definitely think that's something that could definitely happen. Maybe with they could do like lanterns too. Like lanterns around the ring and around the that's definitely a good point too. They could do that. I was also thinking what if they could do something like, would they do red light though? Or would that just defeat the whole purpose?
I don't think they would do that again.
You don't think they would do the
Yeah.
me either,
hope
dude.
not.
Like, I really, really hope not. What if they I was also thinking, is there any chance that it's a cinematic match?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Like a
I
cinematic
think,
type match that ends in the arena
I
or
think
something?
so. Like, what I was thinking is like, because we were there at Extreme Rules and when Bray Wyatt debuted, and like all the lights
Yeah.
were out, but like we could still kind of see because like everyone had their flashlights on. There was still some light in the arena. So I think the bigger issue is like, how's it going to be perceived on television? Because I don't think they're going to have an issue with everyone in attendance. But like, do you think they could do something where it's shot in like night vision with like a night vision effect?
Ooh, they might do that. They might shoot it in yeah, they could do that. I feel like that would be annoying to watch, but
Probably.
what do you think?
Quite apropos of the pitch black matches, one thing is that the wrestling journalists also have been kept in dark about what's going to happen, especially Uncle Dave Meltzer, because by now he's up to something, or he's disclosing some detail or the other, but he's been kept in complete dark of this situation as well. There's really no wrestling journalist online who has some sort of clear idea in their heads of what this could be. So I think it's a very well kept secret. and we can do all the speculation we want, but it's going to be something new, which is, what Bray Wyatt's thing really is, and it's going to be something dark, and it's going to be something spooky, and it could go one of two ways. It could be a masterclass, or it could be a train wreck, and let's hope for a masterclass by Bray Wyatt here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. And
absolutely.
because I'll say this, the thing that gives me like hesitation for it is that it's being like branded as a Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Like that's
I
the
know.
only
That's
thing
what.
that like I'm scared of. But I also just like I have faith in Triple H and Bray Wyatt to like be able to do something that's somewhat cool. But like if it's just like a money grab that they're doing to partner with a Mountain Dew, that's going to be some dumb match, then like it could be really bad.
Yeah, I'm hoping the Mountain Dew
I,
thing
I think
is
Triple H
just.
is.
I was gonna say, I'm just hoping the Mountain Dew thing is just like an added, like we have an idea for like this new type of match that we're trying to do with Bray, and like they were already had that idea, and then they were like, oh, maybe we could do like, and we're like, we'll get like a sponsor and make it like a Pitch Black, like, or I don't know. Is that like a new Mountain Dew flavor?
I mean, it might not be. It
I
might
don't
it
know.
might not be everybody's cup of soda. It might not be everybody's cup of soda here. But it's at the at the end of the day, Triple H is, when he's gotten Bray Wyatt back, he has done a commendable job, and Bray Wyatt has done a commendable job in making his character relevant and completely different from what he was before. So all signs point to this being at least a decent thing, a decent match going forward. It's not going to be everybody's cup of soda, but I'm sure. I mean, I hope it's not going to be some dumb thing,
Well, no,
reminiscent of
it's
the Hell in a Cell match
like you
between.
said. Yeah, like you said, with I mean Bray Wyatt is like I have enough faith to give Bray Wyatt the benefit of the doubt. And he's partnered up in this match with LA Knight, who's also an incredible worker and has been doing some great work lately. So I'm confident at least we'll get something good. I will say I would be a little bit more excited if this was like the Mountain Dew Baja Blast match. I'm definitely a bigger Baja Blast fan. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. But
I think something that like could also happen is like LA Knight just bring like a giant flashlight to the ring, because we saw him in that one segment where he was just like in that small locker room, and then like the lights went out, and then he just turned his phone flashlight on, and then you caught the face of Uncle Howdy. And so I think he could just be like, I have a flashlight, like it's not pitch black. So that's definitely something that I could see happen.
yeah, that
But
would work with his gimmick where he's like, "You dummy, I have a flashlight."
do you think there's going to be like any further developments with this storyline, like maybe regarding Alexa Bliss, or like Uncle Howdy, or because we sort of caught a new glimpse of maybe who Uncle Howdy is, or maybe another person in this storyline on Friday Night SmackDown, because the mask was different than the Uncle Howdy mask that we're used to.
Yeah, do you want to take that one?
Well, I think going ahead, WWE would like to keep it a surprise and not hint much as to what's going to go down at the Royal Rumble event. But Royal Rumble, it's not going to be a regular match, obviously. I think it's more going to be more of a next chapter in the story of Bray Wyatt and his potential faction, the Wyatt Six, and the Uncle Howdy Bray Wyatt equation. So it's not really going to be a regular match. And I think whatever storyline develop, there's going to be some major storyline development at the Royal Rumble for sure. And I think it would be wise, because everybody is being kept in dark about what's going to go down. I think it would be wise to not hint at much going into this match, and then make some headlines, because coming out of the Rumble is slated to be a huge event. There's going to be we're going to get a much clearer picture of the road of WrestleMania, of the road to WrestleMania. So I think one of the stories coming out definitely would be Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy, and even LA Knight, and how they're going to take the story going forward. Uh, until then, they don't have much time left. So it would be wise to really just uh, create a bang at Royal Rumble and hold off a bit until then.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was thinking, in my eyes, I kind of want them to move away from this LA Knight, and Bray Wyatt storyline, and I think that might be what happens after Rumble. Um, to me, it feels like we're like moving towards Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. Um, depending on who Uncle Howdy could be. That's just my if I had to guess right now, and I guess that's a good way to segue into the next thing. But I think because maybe I'm just like overthinking it here, but I really think they're gonna probably do Bray versus Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania.
Who do you think Uncle Howdy is?
That's the next topic, right?
Yeah, we can discuss that.
I mean, yeah, it has to be Bo, right? It has to be Bo Dallas, in my opinion. Bray Wyatt's real life brother, real life younger brother. Um, in my eyes, I don't really know who else it could be. I don't know who else. I don't know what else really makes sense because there's a lot of like pictures surfacing around. A bunch of people were like, "That's Edge, that's Edge, that's Edge." Edge cut his hair. Edge literally cut his hair like 2 months ago. It's not Edge.
For a
Edge
movie
doesn't-
role, I believe too. So
Yeah,
like
like
he has
Edge,
to keep it short.
like Edge does not have long hair anymore. So it wasn't him. And they're also just I don't think that's what they're gonna do.
Well, and you texted me that it was Vincent, and I was confused at first, but then I realized like what you were talking about.
Yeah, and I don't think it's him either because I don't think it quite makes sense because it's gonna like you think if Uncle Howdy gets revealed, right, then it's gonna have to be someone who is gonna get a pop. Like it's not like if it's like someone who the casual fans of WWE, like if Vincent goes out there, a hardcore wrestling fan would be pretty excited and be like, "Oh, this is really cool, a really cool opportunity." Like, but also like he's never like to the casual WWE fan, they have no idea who that is, and like it would just receive no pop. So in my head, the best way for it to make sense is his real life younger brother, Bo Dallas. Um, I think it'll probably lead to a match between the two, and then eventually probably like a team of some sort. But I mean, to me, it seems like that's a good way to make it up to Bray Wyatt is to for that because they still haven't made it up to him for that fucking making him lose the title to Goldberg. In my eyes, it will take so much for them to make up for that spot. That was just so bad. But yeah, I think a WrestleMania match with his little brother would be one way to help finally. I think everything would be smoothed out and call it even if you give him that.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your guys' thoughts?
You can go, Tathya.
Well, nothing to add there. You summarized it up uh, as eloquently as you could possibly could. I mean, it has to be Bo Dallas, really, or it has to be someone that would get a pop. There is no point introducing Vincent or Dutch because the casual WWE fan does not know them.
Mhm.
So Bo Dallas is the only answer there. The hair did kind of look a bit like Dolph Ziggler's, but I don't think Dolph Ziggler can get that kind of pop today.
Yeah, it would be interesting if it was Dolph. What are the odds? Is there a chance that it's Joe Gacy? I don't know if there's like too
I
much of
don't
a
think
chance.
they
But
would. My only thing with that is like, I don't know if they're gonna dismember Schism, and like I don't watch
I
NXT
think
that much, so I don't. But I just don't think that they're gonna dismember that group for him.
Mhm.
So and he doesn't
War
like
Games next year we need Schism versus Judgment Day though. I'm just saying that.
that would be sick. But Yeah, I mean, Dillon, you said it perfectly, because that's one of the problems that I feel like WWE's been having an issue with, is with them bringing back these people who were like popular in NXT, but then they get released and then they call them, they return and then they put them on the main roster and then they suddenly come out and like they don't get a huge pop because like the casual fan doesn't really know who they are. We've seen it time after time again with every person that he brings back. They just suddenly appear and like everyone's supposed to know who they are, but like it's okay to like have vignettes or just like create a video package or like just introduce them in a different way instead of just having them show up and then like you're supposed to know who they are. So it's definitely something I think we all can agree that it needs to be someone that is going to get a pop, and then whatever they do after that, you can put whoever you want in the group. But we're going to transition to the Royal Rumble Premium live events now. I think Cody Rhodes needs to win the Royal Rumble, but who besides Cody, and I'll start us off here, but who should win the Royal Rumble besides Cody Rhodes? Because there are reports that Roman is going to drop one belt before WrestleMania. So I think that if that's going to happen, then maybe Cody isn't going to win the Royal Rumble. And I think if it's not going to be him, then I don't know who else it would be. I mean, my first guess would be Seth Rollins. LA Knight could win it, but if the winner is going to face either Roman or Cody at Mania, then Seth makes sense because he would obviously face Cody. But then I don't know who they would have for the Universal title, because they're discussing maybe bringing The Rock back to face Roman at Mania. I still think Bray Wyatt should be the next Universal Champion, whether that takes place at Mania or after Mania. I still think he should be the person to beat Roman Reigns. But Dillon, who do you think could win the Royal Rumble besides Cody Rhodes?
So I guess I'll also say besides The Rock as well, because
do you think there's a good chance that he could enter the Rumble? Because I don't think this might sound like bleak, but I don't think there's a shot that he enters the Royal Rumble this year.
I think there's like a 50-50 chance.
Okay.
And if he's in it, he's winning. Like that's
yeah.
Like if he's in it, he's winning. So I don't know, unless they're gonna swerve it and they can do. I mean, they're not gonna do Cena Roman. All right. So if they can't, let's say they can't get The Rock for this Mania, right? Let's say The Rock is out. They can't have The Rock main event this WrestleMania. Do you think they swerve to Roman versus Cena?
I don't know. I mean, that one, it's funny because that was I recently published
or Roman
an article.
Stone Cold.
Well, I published an article that was like 3 early pitches for John Cena at WrestleMania, and one of them was having him become a 17-time champion and beating Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship.
How about
the Universal
this
title?
I like this the most, if I'm being completely honest. I like Roman dropping the belt to Cena before Mania, dropping the WWE title. Just one, right? Because you said that's their plan anyway.
Yeah, reportedly.
Drop it to Cena, and then do Cody versus Cena at Mania.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because that was the original plan when Vince was in charge.
Was Cody versus Cena?
Cody versus Cena at Mania.
I wish it could be Cody versus Randy. Fucking for that legacy. That would be so sick. I'm like going so off topic here. But anyway, not off topic. It's all on topic. It's wrestling, man. But like, who do I think besides? All right, so I do think there's a 50-50 chance The Rock is in the Rumble. I think we can all agree if The Rock is in the Rumble, he's winning it, and that's that's a pretty much a guarantee. I would say if The Rock is in the Rumble, he's gonna win, unless Roman costs him the thing, and then that just sets up their match or whatever. That could also be a thing. Dude, besides Cody, I think there's a chance it could be Seth. Maybe Finn. But cause they're gonna do Finn. I think Finn's gonna be in the Hell in a Cell match at the Rumble, and
Finn,
dude, I don't know.
does Finn have the momentum? Does
That's
Finn
what
have the
I'm thinking
momentum?
too. But
Does
maybe
AJ Styles have the momentum?
that was the other name I was thinking of. Tathya was AJ.
Well, AJ's also hurt, and he's going to be out for a while.
A while? Ooh, that's.
He said it's going to be this is like the most time he's going to miss from wrestling, like out, like not being able to wrestle.
Fuck.
Yeah. So maybe someone will
So, I
return and
mean,
win.
dissecting this situation, I've got some notes on this one. So, I mean, it might take a while. So, Dillon, Mark, and all the other Marks watching are gonna have to bear with me. Okay, so there's basically two options here. That would be Roman just defending it as the undisputed championship just once, which would be on the second night of WrestleMania, most probably. And the other choice they have would be Roman defending one title on the first night and the other title on the second night, right? Now, if he defends both titles on different nights, there's really no point in him winning both the matches because the ultimate point would be getting one title off the Roman and separating the titles, right? Now, what title does he lose? Does he lose the Universal title or does he lose the WWE title? He loses the WWE Championship, obviously. The first reason being he needs to be kept on SmackDown. The second reason being it continues as Universal Championship. There's legendary reign with the Universal Championship. And the third reason plays into Cody Rhodes potentially dethroning him as the WWE champion. Uh, Cody's dream, in his first promo when he came back, his dream was to win the WWE Championship, not the Universal Championship. It was to win the title that his dad could never hold. The Universal Championship wasn't even introduced until Cody Rhodes was last in WWE. He had left WWE before the Universal Championship was introduced, right? Uh, it won't make any sense for Cody to really win the Universal Championship. The entire impact of the moment lies in Cody finally winning the title that eluded Dusty. So, and Roman is not losing both matches. Of course, that diminishes his aura. If you want to separate the titles and get that on two different people, you're gonna have to wait for that because Roman losing two consecutive matches on two consecutive nights, that kills him basically, in my opinion. Uh, let's look at the possible challenges for the any of the world titles besides Cody. That would, I think, Dylan mentioned that one of them would be Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, I think Triple H and Rollins himself have done a masterful job in gradually and organically turning him into a baby face. With his music and all, it was apparent it had to happen at some point with the crowd singing his music like that. And last week's Raw was, a perfect example. I just got the main event of last week's Raw, and the crowd was invested so much that at one point I thought the Burn It Down chants were coming back. They were willing him on with the by singing his music, but he has still not officially completely turned into a white meat babyface, has he? Because he's still retained some of his heelish mannerisms, the outrageous suits and that outrageous laugh of his.
Do we
So,
think he's ever going to
if
get
you
rid
want
of
to
that
have Seth
completely, though?
Rollins, he did get rid of his heelish tendencies when he was with the Authority, and then he came back and turned into a baby face while feuding with.
Yeah, that is true.
So I mean, in wrestling, there is some point where there is some way that they organically shift their characters completely, and that's only possible in wrestling, really. And that's the beauty of the art of professional wrestling is that uh, a character can be so different from what they were a year or 2 years ago, as opposed to any a movie or a TV show of any kind.
Hmm.
Uh, so besides Seth Rollins, another challenger would be The Rock. So, I mean, I think at this point, uh, there's really either Cody Rhodes challenges for the Undisputed Championship or if they can get The Rock in. The Rock challenges for the Universal title on night one, and Cody challenges for the title, the Universal, for the WWE title on night two, because there's really no point in Roman losing his first title match and then going on to another title match. He has to win his first one, and The Rock is not winning. If they are not able to get The Rock in, that's where Seth Rollins comes into play. But how exactly do you turn him into a white meat babyface? Like you said, how is he going to drop those tendencies? There needs to be a moment where uh, he that signifies his official turn to the good side. Any thoughts, still in the Mark?
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just because I don't now. Another thing that we sort of saw is like, and this could have just been like a one night thing, but on Raw, he also wasn't wearing his like usual crazy outfits. He had that big black like fur jacket on that we saw with which I believe he wore when he was like the Monday Night Messiah, and he was also referring to himself as his like previous nicknames as well. So like you said, we are sort of starting to see this transition, but my question is, do you think that like maybe he could be sort of like a tweener where he doesn't need to just be like, where maybe there doesn't need to be a moment that happens where he says like, I'm like a baby face now. Do you think like he could sort of like go between the lines at all?
Here's what I propose. Here's what I propose here. Seth Rollins enters the Rumble at number one or number two. Both Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins enter at number one and number two, respectively, right? They are both the Iron Men of the match. They are the last two remaining. They have to be the last two remaining. Whether or not they enter at first, they have to be the last two remaining in this, right? And Cody Rhodes eliminates Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins comes back into the ring. He shakes his hand. He hugs him and he wishes him the best for his match against Roman. And I mean, there's really nothing more you can do to establish him as a baby face.
That's a
Nothing
great
more than that.
idea, actually.
Than the guy who he tormented for 3 years. So for 3 or 4 months. Uh, he hugs him and he congratulates and he wishes him the best. The very guy who he put on the shelf. Who he didn't really put him on the shelf, but in story, yes, he did put him on the shelf for several months. The other way you could really, I mean, another way I think I wouldn't be a fan of that really would be someone from the bloodline costing him the Royal Rumble at some point, so he doesn't have to cross paths with Cody if that's something that WWE wants to avoid. But I think that very visual, that very moment of both men hugging in the ring, that would be an all-time moment, really, an all-time moment in Royal Rumble or in WWE history, in my opinion. Seth Rollins, as far as challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, does not really need any more motivation for the bloodline doesn't really need to attack him. Seth Rollins and Roman have enough history for them to just go on that, and you have that story. So Seth doesn't really need to win the Royal Rumble. Cody does. Cody really is the only sensible option as far as winning the Rumble is concerned. But if not Cody, if let's say something happens where Cody is put on the shelf for some further time before the Royal Rumble, do you think Sami Zayn has a chance of winning the Rumble?
I do think that's a good backup plan. Like I said, I wrote an article a while back about why Sami Zayn needs to be the person to dethrone Roman Reigns. And while I'm not completely as like hell bent on that as I was a few months ago, because a few months ago I really was like Sammy needs to be the guy to take him out. And so I'm not quite on that, but I do think that if Cody's not ready, or if because to me, I do think the best way to end this storyline with Sammy is to have the reuniting of him and KO as best friends and taking out the Usos for the tag team titles and Mania. And I think it makes the most sense too, being that the Usos have literally beaten every single tag team in the tag team division multiple times, and WWE hardly even has a tag team division, it feels like, anymore. So if someone's gonna beat the Usos, I mean that being that it just seems like it's been the Usos dominating for so long. But if somebody's going to be the Usos, to me, it feels like it's got to be a team they haven't faced before. And who better than Sammy and KO? So I think that's the most likely way it plays out. But like you said, if Cody isn't ready, and if they can't go Cody and they can't go The Rock, I do think Sami Zayn is a really, really good pivot. Nobody would be mad at it. I think all the three of us can agree. You have the approved, WWE has the approval from Mark, Dillon, and Tathya. Sami Zayn could easily win the Royal Rumble. I think we'd all be down for the honorary use taking it. Be a very Daniel Bryan-esque,
And
Yeselmania, Kofi Mania type moment if that does end up happening. I do think there's a chance that it does happen.
and it might play out into the way that the Batista and the Triple H story played out heading into the Royal Rumble. Is that possible at all? Do you think at the Royal Rumble the Usos come out and they lift him on the shoulders and Roman Reigns give them the thumbs up and then something similar? Obviously, it can't be the exact same thing that happened, but Roman Reigns approves that, and then suddenly, the expression on his face changes, and Sammy realizes what's just happened, and the expression on Sami Zayn's face changes, and the crowd goes absolutely nuts about what's going to happen. And at the Royal Rumble event, that signals the official babyface turn of Sami Zayn.
Yeah, it would. I mean, the eventual bloodline turn on Sami Zayn is going, because that's what it has to be at this point. I feel like it's got to be the bloodline turning on Sammy. Sammy has pledged his allegiance to the bloodline. We were talking a while ago that it has to be Sammy turning on the bloodline, but now, but like we said, especially after that Survivor Series match, and obviously all the work that's been going on, it's got to be the bloodline turning on Sammy. Sammy is so bought in and locked into the bloodline. But when it does happen, because it's inevitably going to happen, it's going to be so heartbreaking, man. I can literally just picture the look on Sami Zayn's face when they turn on him. He's going to be like close to tears. It's going to be a crazy moment. But
Yeah,
Tathya, if that happens, dude, if that happens with them turning on Sammy, like dropping him, like how they did with Orton, like if that happens at Royal Rumble, dude,
well, because
if that happens, we'll clip that and post that, because that would be an incredible call. But like
they
that would be
also
just so amazing.
They could do like the Shield, how they used to do with Roman in the power bomb. It's like almost the same exact thing, but it's just like Roman's thing. But yeah, I mean, I do think, and I've said it before, that the bloodline are going to turn on Sammy at the Rumble. I don't know when. I was sort of thinking maybe somewhere in the match, but I think it is going to happen then, because I agree with Dillon. I think Sammy and KO are going to be the ones that will dethrone the Usos. And I don't think Sammy and KO are going to immediately just be buddies again. I think they're going to have to work up to Sammy and KO's friendship rebuilding. And I think that's going to take some time. So I think that's probably going to get started sooner rather than later. But it's going to be
one more thing I need to add that I just thought about. Being that like a few weeks ago when they like didn't have a live Raw, and they were doing like all the video packages and stuff from like certain wrestlers and stuff, and they had the Cody video package pop up. Do you think there's any chance that Cody is not a surprise return in the Rumble, and that maybe he returns like the Raw before, or like something like that? Just because I just say that because like he just popped up. I read one article that was like, it was a theory that like since they popped up on screen in the video vignette and he was like, I'll be back soon, know what I mean? Recovery's going good. That they're not going to try to like surprise it like how they did at WrestleMania, since they already had that moment, that they're just going to like have them like pop out on Raw. I'll say this selfishly because me and Mark are going to the 30th anniversary Raw in Philadelphia. And I'm pretty sure that's the go home show before Rumble. So, that'd be a cool time to do it.
So
Yeah,
you are
I
hoping
think
for
that
Cody to show up, obviously.
Yeah. That's
I
a theory.
I think that it would be a good way to help build the hype for the Rumble. Like, regardless if they don't announce him for it, everyone pretty much knows he's probably going to return at the Rumble. So I think if he does, it would be a bummer unless Sammy wins. Like, if Cody doesn't return and The Rock enters and wins, I think it would sort of be a letdown. I think it would probably be a, like, in the moment, people might be a little hyped to see The Rock, but like the next morning, I think people could realize like
They're gonna
why
turn on
they
it.
do that. Yeah. So I think
They
that
turn on it.
yeah. I mean, and because it's just like
that's
he
my
doesn't
other
have
thing
to
with
win.
this dude. I think if The Rock comes back, dude, like I think he's getting booed. Like I think Roman's getting cheered this whole storyline.
And it's because it's also like because he's facing some backlash. I haven't read too much into it, but like everything that's happened with like Black Adam and stuff, he's been facing like a lot of backlash with that too.
I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that to read it up.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch the Royal Rumble play out. There's a ton of things that could happen. The Royal Rumble is one of my favorite events of the year. So many surprise returns, debuts. The card right now is only the men and women's Royal Rumble match plus the Pitch Black match. So stay tuned because they're going to be adding matches in the coming weeks, and more people will get added to the Royal Rumble matches. But that being said, that's going to close out the podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Burnt Ham. Yes.
One thing.
Do it.
We didn't do it because we haven't had new shirts in a while. But I have to give you a shirt check today because we went like 15 consecutive episodes where we were both wearing different wrestling shirts every single episode. And then we had to take a break because
I think we only missed like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they cost money.
It's pretty good. We had a lot of shirts in a row.
But we had a lot of shirts, and I just received a new one literally in the mail this morning as Mark was like, "Are you ready to do the podcast?" I said, "Hold up." I checked my email, and my shirts were delivered. So this is a shirt I've been waiting on for a very long time. I've needed to get a shirt of this person in my arsenal. All right. And this guy is, if I had to have a conversation, interview, or talk to one person in the wrestling industry and wrestling history, this is probably the person I would pick. This is my absolute, I would say my idol, kind of. And he is known as the voice of the beast, the adversary of the beast. He was once known as the voice of the voiceless. He was once known as the wise man. He's currently known as the wise man, the adversary, the great, the extreme Paul Heyman. So that is why it's not the classic I'm a Paul Heyman guy shirt. Had to give a little shout out to, if you don't know, me and Mark are from the Philadelphia area, so we got to give a shout out. That's another reason why I love Paul Heyman so much. He's a Philly guy. We're from Philly. So that's why I had to get the Extreme Championship Wrestling version. I'm an extreme Paul Heyman guy. Throwback marquee classics.
Great shot of him on the shirt. That's a great shirt.
Oh, you got that in there. You got his ponytail. Sorry, it's hard with the... Got his ponytail flopping around right there. I'm an extreme Paul Heyman guy. Marquee Classics patch.
Nice.
Shout out to the clearance on WWE.com for this great new pickup.
Yeah, for sure. And they've run a ton of sales. So I definitely need to get a few new shirts. So That being said, that's going to wrap up the
Thank
episode.
Thank you, everybody.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter at The Burnt Hammer, on Instagram and TikTok. We are at The Burning Hammer, and on Facebook, we're at The Burning Hammer. That's the best way to stay up to date with when we release new episodes. And it's the best way to get your professional wrestling news, rumors, reports, fantasy booking, anything and everything involving professional wrestling. Follow us on our social media and check out theburninghammer.net. We have officially launched our website, and in the near future we will be posting some exclusive stuff that's just going to be on the website, nowhere else. And make sure to follow Vendetta Sports Media on their socials. On Twitter, they're at Vendetta VSM. On Instagram and TikTok, they're at Vendetta Sports Media. And check out vendettasportsmedia.com for all of your sports needs, including professional wrestling. All three of us, we write there. We do weekly previews, results, and reviews for the AEW and WWE weekly shows, along with the match cards for every pay-per-view or premium live event, news, rumors, reports, fantasy.
Tathya the SmackDown. Tathya the SmackDown. Tathya the
I do SmackDown tomorrow night.
Yeah, Tathya the SmackDown. Usually we have not had any SmackDown coverage on this podcast yet. Any proper SmackDown coverage, because there's a lot. But yeah, Tathya writes SmackDown. Make sure you check out his articles for SmackDown.
Yes, and you can follow him on Twitter at Tathya04. It's on the screen. You can follow Dillon on Twitter at DillO'Brien_Wave, and you can follow me on Twitter at MarkIzzo_Wave. I'm Mark Izzo. He's Dillon O'Brien. Tathya, thank you for being our very first guest on the podcast, and this has been another episode of the Burning Hammer Podcast. We'll catch you next week.
Now I'm gonna hit my mic with a burning hammer.